Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 8th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Help is on the way for San Diego businesses struggling under the new stay-at-home order. Today, the County Board of Supervisors voted to expand eligibility for millions in coronavirus relief. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman spoke to business owners who are having to lay off staff and cut hours ahead of the holidays.
New coronavirus restrictions are here for restaurants like Shank and Bone in North Park. That means no more outdoor dining, just takeout only, meaning these patios are sitting empty.
It's incredibly expensive to try and operate in this environment, even when we are open for, some sort of dine-in service outside.
North Park Beer Company owner Kelsey McNair just had this outdoor patio built off of University Avenue. Now it's just a fixture.
It was literally completed at the end of last week, and so we were only able to use it for a few days.
McNair has pivoted in other ways, expanding his wholesale beer business, and says he will comply with the new restrictions. Still, he's had to make the tough decision to cut back his staff again. And with restaurants seemingly bearing the brunt of restrictions, he's asking for help.
I don't want to fight any orders. What I really would like to see is more help from, the local, state, and federal government as far as financial relief goes.
$20 million in county grants are available right now, but before today, that was only for businesses impacted by purple tier restrictions. Today, the County Board of Supervisors opened it up for everyone impacted by the regional stay-at-home order. That includes personal care businesses, which have to close their doors entirely.
Financially, it's awful, but we're staying afloat. And that's all I can say is that we're staying afloat right now.
Lab A salon owner Adrienne Tolentino was doing some admin work today, preparing for 3 weeks with her doors closed.
If anything, I just want to make sure my team is taken care of, because the salon will get through it for us. I know a lot of salons won't, but I just want to get through. I just hope it's 3 weeks.
Adapting is not easy, especially when cash is tight, but places like City Tacos are getting creative, adding a drive-through right off University Avenue.
It's COVID-friendly, it's touchless, it's fast, it's efficient.
Owner Gerald Torres says he's trying to bring in business while keeping the community safe.
In this tier, in this time, we don't know what to expect tomorrow. We don't know what to expect next week. We don't know if people are gonna, be comfortable enough to go out for, the foreseeable future.
There's a few City Tacos locations across the county, and while Torres has had to cut his staff hours, he's trying to keep everyone on the payroll.
There's a lot of uncertainty. They worry about their futures, and as owners, as managers, we try to really take care of them and let them know what's happening and be open and upfront and try to protect them as much as we can.
All of these owners say the same thing, especially right now, spend your money locally.
I know that I see the Amazon trucks going up and down our streets all day long. It's tempting. I get it. It's so easy to sit on your couch and click and buy. But every time you do that, you're taking money out of the pockets of our small businesses.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And coming up, hear from a young Ethiopian restaurant owner in City Heights in the first of our new series of Pandemic Profiles. Did you get an alert on your phone today? The Governor's Office of Emergency Services issued an emergency alert on cell phones, reminding people across Southern California of the stay-at-home order. During his briefing today, State Health Secretary Dr. Mark Ghaly said transmission is now too widespread for activities that were considered relatively safe a month ago.
Right now, we're seeing such high levels of transmission that almost every activity, that can be done differently and keep us at our homes, not mixing with others, is safer. Those are going to be the tools that help us get this under control.
More than 23,000 coronavirus cases were reported across the state just today. California has also seen a more than 70% increase in hospitalizations and 68% increase in ICU hospitalizations in the past 14 days. As the UK started administering their first coronavirus vaccines, both President Trump and President-elect Biden held COVID-focused events today. Even though U.S. vaccines could be days away, public health officials forecast a dire few weeks ahead, a stretch that will overlap with the presidential transition. Karen Kafer reports from Washington.
In the UK Tuesday, great expectations.
No point in dying now when I haven't lived this long, is there? I don't plan to anyway.
The first Western country to begin administering Pfizer-BioNTech's coronavirus vaccine. Here in Washington, the FDA could sign off on the use of the same vaccine within days. Commissioner Dr. Stephen Hahn says both Pfizer and Moderna's offerings appear to be on the right path.
Our team has done their initial analysis, and we do feel that preliminarily that the success criteria have been met.
President Trump at a White House vaccine summit touting his administration's work.
It has been incredible, and it will end the pandemic.
But the bulk of distributing vaccines to millions of Americans will fall under the incoming Biden administration. Introducing top members of his health team, President-elect Joe Biden warning much work is ahead.
They're going to be ready on day one to spare not a single effort to get this pandemic under control.
Right now, U.S. cases, hospitalizations, and deaths climbing.
Towards the end of this week and next week, I think that we'll see the impact of Thanksgiving, both traveling as well as the small gatherings that people had despite our recommendations.
In the last 7 days, the nation saw its deadliest week of the pandemic since April, with more than 15,000 lives lost. In Washington, Karen Kafer, KPBS News.
San Diego County's drive-up COVID-19 testing sites are changing to appointment-only service. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says the reason for the change is due to long lines and safety concerns.
The Aquatica San Diego test site is stationed at the parking lot of the outdoor water park. Where the lot was once filled with parked cars and eager families awaiting the water park, now hundreds of cars line up every day for COVID-19 tests. Adrian Barba was one of 3 people in his vehicle who waited in line to be tested at the location after his sister contracted the novel coronavirus.
I actually set a timer. I was here for an hour and 20 minutes.
Barba said although he's been tested before, the situation feels different now, especially after the state issued a COVID-19 advisory to cell phones.
Honestly, that little Amber Alert got me a little scared. Made me feel like more surreal in a way.
Long lines like those at Aquatica Test Center may soon be changing as drive-through COVID-19 test sites in San Diego County are transitioning to appointment-only service by the end of the week.
Over the last little bit, we've seen the demand for testing increase to the point where it became unsafe for not only the people being tested, but also staff because of the long wait times and the long lines.
Jennifer Bransford-Coons is the public testing branch director for the county's COVID-19 response team. She says the change to drive-through appointments is for the time being, but they could switch back in the future.
We may be able to, at some point, go back to no appointment testing sites that are drive-through. The walk-up testing sites, we don't anticipate at this point in time needing to have appointments there.
While most county drive-through sites will soon require appointments, walk-up testing sites across the county are still open to the public with no appointment required. To schedule a COVID-19 test, go to 211sandiego.org. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
We're following all the latest coronavirus developments for you at kpbs.org. Just click on the Tracking COVID-19 button on our homepage, and there you'll find online tools like our Trigger Tracker and Cases by Zip Code, along with all our recent reports. Thousands of SDG&E customers in the East County are still without power as strong Santa Ana winds continue. Anytime the winds pick up, businesses in Pine Valley prepare for possible power outages. Jeremiah Dean says just last week his power at the Pine Valley Inn Motel was cut off. This week they haven't made the shut-off list yet, but they are prepared with a generator.
There's more to life than having power. At least we're here. And so if it happens, it happens. You can't change it.
At the last update, 8,369 customers remain without power, but it looks like winds will start to calm down. Meteorologist Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
Our powerful Santa Ana winds will be decreasing during the day tomorrow, so we'll have less wind, and that will allow the flow start to turn more onshore, and that onshore flow will be with us into Thursday. And with that comes a little bit of cooler air. By the weekend, though, it will be turning a little bit warmer. Now, as we check on the potential for fires, we still have that high fire risk. Local wind damage, power outages, blowing dust through the night. Winds still gusting over 40 miles an hour tonight, but they'll start to decrease tomorrow. So the fire risk is still there, but it will go down. Looking at tonight's temperatures, 41 Oceanside, San Diego 52, 39 Ramona and El Cajon 45, certainly worthy of jackets. Mount Laguna is down to 27. For tomorrow, the upper low offshore starts to make its move east to our south. We'll stay dry, but once this upper low gets to the east of us, look what it does. Draws moisture up into Arizona and New Mexico with rain and mountain snow, but looks like we'll be missing out. As we take a look at our temperatures, well, we'll be rising in the upper 60s, near 70, Oceanside of San Diego. For tomorrow, low 70s, and Ramona, mid-70s, El Cajon. These temperatures just slightly above the averages. And then for Thursday, we're starting to see some of that cooler air. It'll be dry, and will be dry on Friday. And as we take a look at the extended forecast for you, well, we're looking at nice mild conditions Wednesday, and then cooler until the weekend, where temperatures start to rise once again. Inland sections, low 70s Wednesday, low 60s Friday, but temperatures rebound Saturday and Sunday. And here in the mountains, 60s give way to 50s, but then a little more pleasant as we take you into Sunday. And in the deserts, temperatures in the mid-70s, cooling a little bit, but pleasant over the weekend. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
You may have seen smoke in the sky in your neighborhood today. This is what it looked like from Harbor Island this afternoon. CAL FIRE says it's from a fire burning in Tecate, Mexico. No structures are said to have been threatened on the U.S. side of the border. U.S. Customs and Immigration is once again accepting applications for DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, after a 3-year pause by the Trump administration. KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne talked with 2 DACA recipients about their experiences.
I kind of did know that I was undocumented, but I kind of didn't know what that meant.
Approximately 750,000 DACA recipients in the U.S. have gone through journeys similar to Luna's. She arrived in the U.S. from Mexico with her parents and younger brother when she was only 5 years old. When she turned 15, she was eligible to apply for DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
That process was really intense. I know that for me, I literally just wanted to give up because I was like, is it even worth it?
Luna has been documented for 4 years. She is studying to become a pediatrician or OBGYN.
Well, I'm a first-generation college student, so I feel like I've always had to navigate the education system by myself at such an early young age, just because I was the first one to go to elementary school, to go to high school, and then to college.
When the pandemic hit, Luna needed to help support her family financially until she contracted COVID-19.
I wanted to have as minimal as contact with them because I know they had jobs, so if they got sick, then we would even be in a worse situation.
Despite living under the same roof, Luna was the only one in her family to get sick. Forced to take time off work to recover, Luna still needed to navigate the ever-changing DACA renewal and pay the $495 filing fee. Kevin Tracy is a San Diego attorney who handles DACA cases. He says President Trump terminated DACA to force Congress to take action.
Congress is the body that enacts immigration legislation. Although it was implemented in 2012, for 18 years before that, you had the DREAM Act. And the DREAM Act had been in Congress for over 18 years. And they could never agree as to how to implement it.
Marian Mata Garcia came to the U.S. from Mexico in 2001 with her mother when she was 1.5 years old. When she turned 15, her parents helped her apply for DACA.
I never got to really experience the undocumented life, I feel, because right away, like, I was doing the same thing that all the other kids in my grade were doing. So I was able to get my driver's license. I was able to start working.
It wasn't until she started community college that she realized the limitations set due to her status.
I was never discouraged because of my status. If I just saw something that was like, oh, like permanent residence and U.S. citizen, I'm like, okay, well, I won't apply to that. And then I just kept looking for other resources.
Now a junior at UCSD studying global health and biology, Marian says mental health counseling and her personal experience helped her look at the pandemic from a different point of view.
Because I live in uncertainty every single day. Like, that's my life. So for me, I was like, oh, okay, well, the government's going to control whatever and then we're just going to do it, you know? And like, because that's been my life, you know, like the government's like, okay, well, now DACA is only 1 year. And I was like, okay, well, now it's 1 year.
While the Trump administration continues its legal fight over DACA, both Luna and Marian have high hopes for President-elect Biden, who has pledged to reinstate the program after taking office.
People don't realize how important their vote is, especially for those people that can't vote.
But I do have high hopes for this new administration. And yeah, I mean, all we can do is really wait, hold on, like go out, and then show them that we're here and that we're here to stay.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
This story was produced with support from the Economic Hardship Reporting Project. The governor of Baja California is in the hospital with COVID-19. According to Tijuana News Reports, Governor Jaime Bonilla was given intravenous medicine and oxygen and is expected to leave the hospital tomorrow. This is the second time Bonilla has contracted the virus. He discovered he had it earlier this year after taking an antibody test in July. Mexico is getting ready to start vaccinating its people against COVID-19 later this month, starting with healthcare workers. Mexico's president announced today the vaccines will be universal, they will be free and voluntary. The first doses from Pfizer will go to healthcare workers. He hopes everyone who wants one will be vaccinated by the end of 2021. We're kicking off an ongoing series of pandemic profiles highlighting San Diegans surviving, hurting, or thriving during COVID-19. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler brings us the story of Ali Ganemo Ali, an immigrant and restaurant owner in City Heights.
27-year-old Ganemo Ali immigrated to City Heights from Ethiopia when he was 11. Since then, he's been rooted in the community and studying marketing at SDSU. When he began looking into opening his own restaurant last year, audaciously combining Ethiopian, Thai, and American menus, he knew he wanted it to serve the community he's long called home.
I feel like, my home, which is City Heights, deserves better, deserves some option. So I put everything I have, everything I know about food into creating this menu.
But the pandemic put a damper on his dreams of opening a restaurant. So Ali began experimenting on recipes at home.
I started posting the food that I make on Instagram. And from there, people really liked, my food. And I started selling out and stuff. And that's when I noticed, I got to take this to the next level again.
Soon, Ali had come up with what he called the ghost restaurant idea. For 6 months, he rented a kitchen, got the necessary permits, and operated a restaurant specifically geared towards the pandemic.
We put up the menu online and everything. People order through Uber Eats, all those third-party deliveries. They come pick it up or it gets delivered.
Business was good. Ali wanted to keep growing. Stuck at his apartment on Fairmount Avenue, he began looking across the street at unused kitchen space at Donut Star. After months of negotiating, Ali's Chicken and Waffles opened on October 17th.
I invited just close friends and family to come through, but we sold out on the first day.
With other restaurants closing, business for Ali has been good. But he still hopes to open a dine-in brunch destination whenever it's safe to do so. Max Rivlin-Nadler, KPBS News.
San Diego Olympic star Arnie Robinson Jr. has died of COVID-19. Robinson won the bronze medal in long jump in 1972 and won the gold medal in 1976. He coached track at Mesa College for 3 decades, and he beat what was supposed to be terminal brain cancer in 2004. His son, Paul, says Robinson died at his home in Skyline Hills on December 2nd. He believes his father contracted the virus from one of his caregivers who also tested positive. His message to others: wear masks and take every precaution.
Respect COVID for what it is. Once COVID comes and it closes in, there's nothing you can do.
Arnie Robinson Jr. was 72. His family has started a GoFundMe campaign in hopes of seeding projects related to youth sports. Chuck Yeager, the test pilot known as the fastest man alive, has died. The World War II flying ace, whose legacy was cemented in the book and film The Right Stuff, was 97 years old. John Berman takes a look back at Yeager's remarkable life.
General Charles M. Chuck Yeager was the very embodiment of the right stuff. He will forever be known as the first man to break the sound barrier. Born in 1923 in rural West Virginia, Yeager says he was not a born pilot.
I didn't know anything about flying because I'd never been in an airplane in my life.
Yeager joined the Army as an aircraft mechanic at the start of World War II. His first airplane ride didn't go so well.
I puked all over my airplane. I said to myself, man, you've made a big mistake.
Pressing on, Yeager took advantage of an Army program that offered enlisted men the opportunity to become pilots.
I remember March 4th, 1944, on my 8th mission, I shot down ME-109 right over the middle of Berlin with the Mustang. Next day, I got shot down.
When the war ended, Yeager returned to California to marry his sweetheart, Glennis Dickhouse. Yeager later became a research pilot at Edwards Air Force Base, making dangerous test flights civilian pilots couldn't or wouldn't do.
It's like combat. You either get killed or you don't. Well, if you have no control over it, don't worry about it.
That's how he found himself 45,000 feet above Rogers Dry Lake in California on October 14, 1947. Breaking the sound barrier, a feat many believed could not be done.
I don't look at things, as being scary or not. You either do or you don't. And if you live, hey, you've done your job.
Yeager eventually returned to combat flying and retired from active duty in 1975 as a brigadier general. The general, as he preferred to be called, became a household name in the 80s with the book and movie The Right Stuff.
Did you like watching someone else play you? Yeah, it was fun. Sam Shepard did an excellent job. Sam Shepard did, right?
Through it all, Yeager remained airborne. In 2012, at the controls of a borrowed Air Force F-15, an 89-year-old Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier again, 65 years to the minute after his first sonic boom. Yeager's logbook documented more than 10,000 flight hours over 60 years in 350 different kinds of planes around the world. Always a pilot with the right stuff.
The San Diego port is considering a controversial project that could significantly boost diesel pollution near the 10th Avenue Marine Terminal. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has the details.
The plan to approve a major cement warehouse contract with Mitsubishi Cement Corporation is under fire from environmentalists who worry about the impact on local air quality. The Environmental Health Coalition's Diane Takvorian says the contract could significantly impact air pollution.
That activity requires a minimum of 2,000 more trucks per month and up to 8,700, which is a 200% increase of trucks over the number of trucks that are currently in and out of the 10th Avenue terminal.
Takvorian says those trucks will have to move through Barrio, Logan, and National City. Those neighborhoods endure more diesel particulate pollution than 95% of California's communities. She called on the port to require Mitsubishi to phase in the use of electric trucks. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, Britain gets the first COVID vaccine as President-elect Biden presents his top health care advisors. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. The Board of Supervisors voted to make San Diego County's $20 million small business stimulus grant program available to all those affected by the new stay-at-home order. Restaurants, salons, and other businesses struggle to cope with the strictest restrictions since the beginning of the pandemic. And hoping to avoid long lines and safety concerns, San Diego County's drive-up COVID-19 testing sites are transitioning to appointment-only service by the end of the week. Walk-up testing sites across the county are still open to the public with no appointment required. You can schedule an appointment online, or you can call 211. A mysterious monolith that has popped up everywhere from Utah to Romania has now made an appearance in San Diego County. Take a look at this. The silver sculpture appeared in a shopping center in Scripps Ranch. It's in front of the Nutmeg Bakery and Cafe at the corner of Scripps Poway Parkway and Spring Canyon Road. As with the other monoliths, it was an unknown who placed it there. The others have since been removed, and it's unclear how long this one will stand. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.